Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak with Confidence with Princeton Toastmasters. I am your host, Ritu Kaul, and a member of this lovely club community. On our podcast today, we have an accomplished Toastmaster, Randy Hudson. Randy has been the past president of Princeton Toastmasters Club. He serves on the board this year as immediate past president. And most recently, Randy has been the winner of District Fall Online Speech Contest. Randy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Randy, I'm so excited for our conversation because you wear so many hats and you're so accomplished. And I have personally enjoyed all your speeches and the Toastmasters rules that you play. There's so much that all of us learn from you every time you're on stage. So I'm really, really excited about this conversation for myself and for our viewers as well. To start off, I would love to hear a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, my personal background, I grew up in California. I started my audiovisual company in 1991, and I've been doing that ever since. Moved to the East Coast. I live in New Jersey, and I love it here. And then about 7 years ago, I joined Toastmasters, and that journey was its own thing of its own. It was a journey, and I started as a totally afraid to speak in public. Now, when I was a kid, you couldn't shut me up. In fact, you still can't shut me up. But what Toastmasters has done for me is it's gotten me to organize my thoughts better and to not just blurt out everything as soon as it pops into my head, which is sort of what I'm doing right now.
But what prompted you to join Toastmasters? Was there a person? How did you know about Toastmasters as a concept or the club itself?
Well, I'll tell you, I knew about Toastmasters because when I was probably 8 years old, somewhere around there, my dad was going off to a meeting one night. And I said, Dad, where are you going? And he had a Toastmasters pin on. He goes, I'm going to a Toastmasters meeting. And that's the last I heard of that. I never heard about the Toastmasters meeting. I just knew they existed because my dad was a member. Flash forward to when I met my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to go out to New York and see a matinee show or something in New York City. And she said, I will only do that if you come with me to my Toastmasters meeting on a Saturday morning. I did not want to go. I was scared to death to go, but I went, and that was the beginning of my journey right there. I went just so I can go out with a girl. Like most men will tell you, it's like, a girl. It's because of a girl. That's why I did it. And she is also an accomplished Toastmaster, as you know. So it became a family thing. We are family Toastmasters.
Your family Toastmasters and your dates are on in the Toastmaster sessions. I hear you're both very busy in your professional lives, and that's one time that both of you take out to come to the Toastmasters Club, which is so nice. But tell me about your initial experience at Toastmasters. I know that you had heard about it as a kid, like you say, and then I think what prompted you was not the want to learn public speaking, but as you said, there was a bait and there was a girlfriend and you said, I'll do it for her, just to prove that you could do anything that she asks you to do, even if you don't like it. But tell me about, there has to be something in the club that pulls you in, that you want to continue it. As your relationship turned into marriage, I'm sure you didn't need to do it, but there was something out there at the club that prompted you to continue with us.
Yeah, back to that original club. The first time I did my icebreaker, as everyone knows, it was scary. This was a club with a total of 8 people in a conference room. And as I mentioned, I've never had a problem talking. But as soon as it became an official, you're talking in front of these people, my mind goes blank. I can't think of anything. My mouth is dry. I didn't sleep the night before. But when I did that icebreaker speech, that sense of accomplishment when it was done, the adrenaline rush and the pride that you get that I just did something that I was afraid to do, that is sort of addictive to me. I continued with that small club. I'm still a member of that club as well. But during the pandemic, it was an in-person club. During the pandemic, we had to find ourselves a new club. And we discovered, Dikla, my wife, did all the research, and we discovered Princeton Toastmasters. At the first meeting we saw was a speechathon. which was amazing. We had 10 speeches and then 10 evaluations. And we're thinking, this is a good club. Let's try this one out. And we did. And it stuck. And I absolutely love Princeton Toastmasters. I've been to many clubs. I'm a member of 4 clubs now. 2 of them are advanced clubs. As an area director, I saw so many other clubs and got to see how they run their meetings. Nobody does it like Princeton Toastmasters. That's all I got to say. It could be the size of the group. It could be just the energy and the attitude and that openness and helpfulness. But Princeton Toastmasters is obviously, I'm kind of sold on the concept.
Yeah, no, thank you for that journey that you shared with us. And you've been also the president of Princeton Toastmasters Club, and I'm sure that you have seen many journeys like that. People who come unsure, not confident of just even speaking in front of a few people, like you said. How have you seen people's journeys change? How have you seen your own journey change as well? What is it in the format of a Toastmasters that does it for people, where they not only become confident speakers, even the crafting of communication becomes better? Because I hear speeches and they're beautiful. They draw you in completely. It's not a novice speaking and a person who's not done it before or is not a professional speaker. Can you take us through that process a bit and what your own personal insights are on that?
Practice. It's all about practice. From the beginning, you take roles. And every time you do a role, one of the keys is to consider the role presentation. So if you're the timer, you're doing a timer report. Make it into a fun report. A little beginning, a little end to your data in the middle. Same thing with counter. Down the line, the more you get on that stage, the more comfortable you will be. And that's how it worked with my journey. I was not good with the roles at the beginning. When somebody said, you're going to be Toastmaster, again, only 8 people in the club. You're going to be Toastmasters. I don't know how to do that. It's not that hard if you actually put your mind to it and focus on what the actual role is. But I digress. I have seen everybody I have seen speak on that stage gets better. Every single time they get better. The more opportunities that you have to get up there, the better. I think when I was president at Princeton, the fact that I had to open and close every meeting, just that short period of time in every meeting gave such a comfortability to being on the stage in front of everybody. I'm not intimidated by getting up there anymore. Now I'm actually excited every time I have a chance to walk out there on that stage. And that works for me in the virtual environment too.
That's wonderful to hear, Randy, that fear turning into excitement for speaking is such a nice way you have put it. Because I think I agree with you. I tend to agree with you, being a member there myself, that it's about practice. And I personally believe that speaking with confidence is a muscle anybody can grow, actually, and that comes with practice itself. So I think we see a lot of our members who have come in, and many a times I've seen and heard a shaky voice in the first time they're up on the stage. And you look at them down the line in a month or two, and it's completely changed. So yeah, that's the power of, I think, practice. And practicing, I would say, in a safe environment, because this is not an environment of judgment. I think in Princeton Toastmasters, for me personally, I found a very supportive community. You have a bunch of people who are always cheering for you. So I think that's the beauty of the club itself.
Absolutely.
So tell me now, what prompted you to enter a speech contest? Was it something that you always wanted to do? It was one of the paths in Toastmasters that you were intrigued about and wanted to try?
The first time I entered a speech contest was with that small club. They didn't have a competition in the club. They just said, do you want to be in the table topics competition? I said, sure. There, you win. That's it. So went straight to area, no club contest, straight to area. I failed miserably because the very first, the table topics question, and let this be a lesson to anybody doing table topics master role. The question was, what's your favorite smell and why? Now, you would think at an area level competition, they would have had a complicated question, something that favorite smell and why. And all I could think of is, I don't like that question. So I pretty much failed on that one. But that was my first attempt at being in a contest. Then I entered a contest at Princeton. I like contests. I like forcing myself to do something. I will sign up for things that I'm not particularly ready for or excited about just because it's going to make me do it. I used to do triathlons every year and I would sign up for it. It's like, now I guess I'm going to have to do some training to go run, swim, and bike. With the contests, I there's an adrenaline rush with that too. Plus, back to the practice. You get to practice, practice, practice. You're doing that speech, you're doing it possibly at another club to practice, and then you do it at your competition. And every time you do it, you're finding more out about your style. You're able to refine the content, refine your presentation, and then practicing your movements, practicing your gestures, practicing your vocal variety. So the contest thing is kind of addictive. I know a lot of people who are addicted to it, but I do just enjoy if I sign up for it, I'm going to do it. So now I have to write a speech for 2 weeks, that sort of thing. Yes. I need a speech.
Yeah, it kind of
And
pushes you into doing
yes,
something.
yes.
That's why you're saying even if you're not ready, it's okay to
Hmm.
sign because you figure it out. I think
I
that's
would
how,
highly, I would highly
yeah,
recommend that to anybody. You don't have to go into the contest thinking, I'm going to win this or I'm not going to win this. Look at these people. Sign up, put in a contest, have the fun with it, enjoy it, and be part of that group of people who are all competing. You don't have to win, you just have to do it.
right. That's a good spirit. Tell us about the preparation for something like a contest. It's definitely different than when you're giving a regular speech at a Toastmaster club. Uh, how do you even start thinking about what to write about, what topic, what theme? And is that the most challenging part?
For me, that is the most challenging part. I have two sets of challenges. So part one is coming up with the idea. A lot of my contest speeches have been based on a pathways speech. And the pathway speeches, when I do those, I generally will find the path, the title of that particular step within pathways, and then sort of work that into the speech itself. For example, the speech I did for the virtual contest, I had put together a speech for level one, a speech with a purpose. So your first speech after you do your icebreaker. And I thought it would be funny to do a speech with a porpoise instead of a speech with a purpose. So I started that speech at the club level about, I'm just going to do this whole speech with just a sight gag with a porpoise at the end. So I could say, this is a speech with a porpoise. That was the whole goal of that. But it evolved into, do I really need this? Oh, it's cute, but that's not what the speech is about. And then when the contest came up for virtual, none of us were given a lot of notice that there was going to be a virtual contest. We didn't know a month ahead of time. So I said, there's a speech that I just did recently. I guess I'll work on that. So part one, that's how I get the idea. And then the second challenge I have is not making it up to 5 to 7 minutes, is knocking it down from 12 minutes down to 6 minutes. Because I will write, I'll put it all down in one shot, and then I'll look at it and it's just way too long. So then I have to go back and refine it and get rid of the things that don't make sense to the speech. And sometimes while I do that, I find the theme changed, the message changed. It's like, I need to get rid of all the things that I thought I was writing about because this is probably what the message needs to be. And that's fun too, because it's a creative writing process, an editing process, and you actually surprise yourself, or I surprise myself when I do that. Did I answer
Right.
your question?
Yes. Yes, yes, absolutely. I think it's absolutely right. Very few people realize the craft of communication, how critical is just the writing part of the speech, because a lot of us focus on delivery and confidence. But I think the story that you're telling and how you're telling and what's the core message becomes a very important part. I personally have had this experience. I was smiling when you were talking about a 12-minute speech, right? Because when you write, you have so many thoughts, you want to say so much. But in Toastmasters, your format is 5 to 7 minutes of speech. I think it's such a good exercise in being succinct and yet having the emotion and the core message and the engagement and the storytelling. I have done it multiple times over now, and it has educated me on how to bring out the key points that you want to talk about. It's never the length of the speech, it's the message and how you communicate it. And listen, people are not sitting there to listen to a 15 or 20-minute speech. unless they're learning something. And even that, I would argue, people zone out after a while. So 5 to 7 minutes is a very good format. So thank you for sharing that with us. But talk to me through also some of the delivery part of it. This was an online contest. And I remember many of us were thinking that this is too tough because being on stage, you get a live feedback from the audience. They are smiling, you're looking at them. But in an online speech contest, you're actually looking into a camera and everything changes and you have to still convey the emotion, the dynamics of a speech. I would be so interested to understand that from you.
It takes an active imagination. And right now I'm staring right at the camera, even though I could look down and see your face there. I'm staring at the camera and I've gotten practiced at doing that.
Okay.
You imagine you've got the audience. While you're speaking into the camera, you're not looking at the camera, you're looking through it and you're imagining an audience. And it could be a small audience, it could be your club, it could be a bigger audience. It's looking at the camera is important, but that instant feedback doesn't work. So there are some challenges with virtual meetings that you don't get from the live meeting. There are also advantages because you can practice it and videotape yourself every single time you practice it and then look at yourself and say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this instead. Look, I walked completely off the screen. So that sort of thing. So virtual is different than live.
But virtual is the live. Sorry, go ahead, Randy.
No, please go ahead.
Virtual is the pretty much our life these days. So I was going to ask you a question that you are in the audiovisual business and you won the speech contest. What are some of the pointers you can give to our audience when all of us are either in a meeting or some people are taking training sessions? And I guess most people are not totally comfortable speaking into the camera. So are there any tips that you want to give the audience?
I have a lot of tips. One thing that I would recommend, I don't have any Post-its here, but take a Post-it, do a little smiley face and put it right next to your camera, or a picture of somebody, a friend, a loved one, your baby, whatever. Just put it right next to the camera, so you're not necessarily looking at the camera. You're looking at that representation of a person, and it might make you smile. But that's one trick to get yourself to look at the camera. I did a workshop for District 38 on virtual tips and tricks. And to boil it down to the main one is, where is your camera? If your camera is too low, it looks like you're looking down. If it's too high, it's just weird. You really want it to be straight ahead. Mine's a little bit lower than I like it to be right now, but you want it straight ahead. And then lighting, whether it's natural lighting or whatever, you just make sure that you are well lit. If you're using a virtual background, you really need to put some extra lighting in there because the background does weird stuff if you don't have the light. And I think that's the two most critical things, the camera position and lighting and looking at the camera. That'd be my short form of a 45-minute presentation.
For our viewers, that video that Randy's talking about, the training session of AV, will be posted on our YouTube channel for people to view it and learn the tips and tricks from the expert himself. Randy, coming back to the contest, how many rounds of the contest were there before the finals?
Well, it starts at club level, and then you move on from club level to the area level. So you're competing usually in about 6 different clubs there against the winners from those clubs. After area, it goes to division. And I believe, how many areas are in division? I think it's also about 6. So it's the top 6 area contenders, and you go to division. And then at the winner of each division competes at district. And that's the end of the district level competitions. The international competition, which is about to start, does all of that. And then the winner of the district competition is videotaped. That videotape is reviewed, and they come up with the semifinalists for the World Championship of Public Speaking. And there's multiple rooms that have semifinalists, and then they do the big stage where Sabayashi, I believe, won this last year. It's just absolutely an amazing experience to see those people on the main stage there at the international competition.
Absolutely. They compete against, in various rounds, I'm told around 30,000 contestants. And then those 8 speakers are the selected few who compete in the finals. So no, absolutely, that's amazing because what you get there is absolutely the most seasoned Toastmasters. What I wanted to ask you was that each round does get tougher because at the first level, you're competing with your club. And you have a slight sometimes advantage because you know the environment and speakers. Not that it helps much, but I've never participated in a contest, but I would imagine when you go to the next round, you don't know who you will be competing against or how good they are and things like that. That's a completely new environment. Were there any sort of adjustments and tweaking to your speech you did at each round? Did you change anything as the levels got more competitive till the finals at the district level?
So first, I would say every time you do your speech, you should change it. You should see what can you do better. Every time you present it, whether it's at a club or if you go to a neighboring club or some other club just to practice and get feedback, work on changing it. Your speech is not perfect. Even if you think it's perfect, it's not. There's always something you could change. Hopefully it's not something major. So at every level you do that. And at every time you get an opportunity to speak, you do that. But back to as you go from Princeton Toastmasters through the area, the division and district, Princeton Toastmasters has so much talent. Princeton Toastmasters is almost always, whoever wins Princeton, almost always makes it to district. It's just the way it is. So the other areas, they're good. The divisions, they're good. But the intimidating factor is when you have the biggest amount of competitors, which is at Princeton. We have a
Right.
lot of competitors there versus the area, you're only 6. In the division, you're only 6. It's a really, really good club to be in if you want to be in the competition. And that's why I said, sign up for it. You may not make it in the top 3 at Princeton, but you had a good time getting there and you learn more about the process. And every time you compete in a contest, you learn more tricks about how to do it better next time.
Right.
I'm embarrassed over what my first contest speech was. It was a mentor speech that I took out of the pathways and I combined it and I turned it into something. It was during the pandemic. Well, not embarrassed, but it's like I didn't have a message. I didn't have a deep message. I didn't realize it was part of it. I was focused then on the technical aspects about moving around on stage and looking, and that was virtual, looking at the camera, making gestures. And I wasn't as focused on what is the real core message that I'm trying to convey. Where's the call to action at the end? There's so many little tricks on things like that. Something else I would recommend for everybody to use the resources that are out there. There are so many workshops that are free in different Toastmasters clubs that you can look for online, and that'll give you hints and tricks. From the World Championship of Public Speaking, they'll be doing a workshop at Club A, and you get so much that you didn't even think of from some of these. Sometimes you'll say, I reject that. I don't like that idea. But sometimes you'll get a kernel of an idea that you can inject into all your speeches going forward.
Very interesting insight on how to look at different rounds and how to, just approach contests. Let me ask you this question. Was there any round where you felt really tested and challenged, or it was just improvising on your last version of the speech? Well, because you're a seasoned speaker, it would be different for a lot of other people. But was there any round where you felt it was more challenging than the last one, or you wanted to approach it differently?
Obviously, district is the most important round. I just wanted to do my best. I'm not that concerned about the judging. One of the past international champions said, it's all about having the right speech at the right time in front of the right judges. So those are things that are out of your control. What is in control is doing the best speech you possibly can. And if you find something on the last speech that you didn't do well, work on that. So when it gets to district, part of the pressure on that is it's done after this. No matter what happens in 7 minutes, I'm out. So there's that pressure. This is the last time you're going to get that opportunity to present that particular speech. And if you love your speech, it's kind of like saying goodbye to a child when they go off to college. It's like, oh, but you do it. And I did it. And I have no kids, so I don't know what that's actually like.
You have a winning speech, so you know now what it's actually like. But what's the feeling after winning beyond the trophy? Like, is it, you talked about the adrenaline rush. Is it the accomplishment of it? Is the fact that your message landed? Uh, what's the feeling? What's the excitement like at the very top?
It's the accomplishment of doing the best you possibly can, which is what you should do in any aspect of your life. Just knowing that you gave it your best, even if it's something mundane and simple, give it your best. Knowing that it's recognized is such an amazing thing. To get the award or not get the award, but just to know that people were listening to you, that they responded, that they nodded along, they laughed, whatever it is, it's that is so rewarding. That's the downside of the virtual, like you said. It's like you don't get that instant feedback. But for all the others, the live in-person competitions, it's just that feeling of I'm a ham. I like getting on stage. Having everybody look at you is kind of nice too.
Yeah, that's true. It's a different feeling to be on stage and be able to deliver your message. And I think the greatest satisfaction I get when I'm talking on this stage is if you're really creating value through your communication. Like you said, some speeches are with purpose. Some of the speakers in our club have humor in their speeches, and I've seen the audience smile. I think the greatest satisfaction you get is that, you know, you're creating that value for the audience and that your message is landing in itself feels valuable to a speaker, I feel, beyond the fact that you're on the stage and the adrenaline rush and yay, you did it kind of things. I think that's the best part is what I feel.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the relief of I'm not going to have to live this speech every night of the week for the next, I've just done this for 2 months. Oh, I can not practice my speech tonight when it's over. It's kind of a relief to that.
Yes. I think winning contests is a testament of excellence, I feel. Excellence in the personal journey that one has reached of being the best you could, like you said. I have personally observed in Toastmasters as a concept that there are a lot of mentorship available to people who want to work on their speech, on their confidence, on their communication. And you've been a member of Princeton Toastmasters for a long time. You've been a mentor. I'd like for you to just share a few thoughts on how that mentorship works in a Toastmaster club. How should people reach out to mentors? And really the benefits of having a mentor, do you see that it makes a sea change in people? Or it's something that, people say, okay, no, I can go on this journey myself. Do you think that takes a longer time? And do you think mentors are really critical in anywhere in life, but particularly in the speaking journey in Toastmasters?
I think that depends on the person. I think mentorship is extremely valuable, but some people do learn better on their own. I didn't use a mentor in my journey. I had one. Elliot was my mentor and is still my mentor. I didn't take advantage of it as I'm the kind of person that likes to learn things on my own and then I'll read the instructions. But I have seen other people, some of my mentees, who have taken it really seriously and they get so much out of it because they practice. They want to get that feedback before they do their icebreaker, before they do a speech. I've had other mentees that have never contacted me. So it's all about the person. The more you want to get out of it, the more you should reach out to your mentor and get what they can give you. And as far as me being a mentor, I enjoy it a lot. I feel like I am not doing enough when I'm a mentor. That's something that I do need to work on. I don't think I've been pushing my mentees to get things done. I let them push themselves. So that's sort of where I'm at on that. I love the concept though.
But I love the concept of a mentor being someone who gives a slow nudge, because I've personally seen people, like absolutely rightly said, that people who are motivated and would want their mentors to be constantly in touch with them, or they will get in touch with them for feedback and everything. And there are some who would want to absorb a feedback, do things at their own pace, and go with that. So I think as a mentor, you also have to judge pretty much who the mentee is and their style of working, yet at the same time give a gentle nudge when it's required without being too pushy. So I think it's a delicate balance between the two.
I agree.
It's been absolutely a pleasure, Randy, to speak to you and gain so much of insights from your journey in Toastmasters, how you were tricked into joining Toastmasters, but how you fell in love with it eventually, to your
Yes.
journey of, excellence as a speaker, to your journey of, now being a winner at a district level, which is huge, by the way. It's not an easy accomplishment. I'm so glad that you could come to our podcast and share your experiences with us. And I'm hoping that this will give more inspiration and courage to our members to take up and sign up for more contests. Any last words from you?
The more you put into Toastmasters, the more you'll get out of Toastmasters. Sign up for roles, sign up to do speeches. You could even get involved in the leadership level on, be an area director, division director, et cetera. But the more that you put into it, the more you'll get out, and it comes back quickly. It doesn't take years and years and years to get it. You get instant, feedback and instant growth just by participating. So participate as much as you possibly can. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is such a wonderful podcast you put together.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And bye for now.